Yo, what's up? It's SNT and you're watching episode 19 of the Bike Show. This is the weekly series where we check out some of your amazing bike builds that you have submitted to the email address that's down in the description and on the screen right now. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and at the end let me know in the comment section down below which bike was your favorite. So now we can move on to the first bike of the day, which is a super clean 2002 Rieju RR from Germany. This bike has gone through an insane transformation from the trashed Rieju it was in the beginning to the beauty it is today. And I usually don't like the original headlight and the not cut rear side plastics on a Rieju RR, but on this bike it looks insanely good. I think it has to do with the crazy high gloss black paint job you have on this bike and how you kept consistent with clean color scheme, with the main color being that nice black paint job and then those blue, gold and polished details to really tie this entire bike together. It looks so insanely good, and even though it's usually things I don't really like on a bike, a black bike with original headlight and stuff, but you did such a good job with this bike and made it look insanely good and clean. I'm honestly really impressed. And it also has a few performance parts on this bike, which includes a antenna 70cc cylinder and a stage 6 exhaust to give it a little bit more power to make it even more fun to ride. I like the fact you kept the original headlight, the original plastics without modifying them anything. It looks so good on this bike, like everything works perfectly together. And I also really appreciate the high quality pictures that you included of this bike. It just looks so good and it's so much more fun to feature a bike like this. Thank you so much for sending it in to the show. Next up we have a crazy Derbi GPR 50 build from the Netherlands. And if we start with the craziest part about this bike, which is the engine build, it has a 88cc Ital kit cylinder, 44mm Ital kit crankshaft, V43 reed valve, Polini PWK 30mm carburetor, twin air filter, MVT S-Race exhaust with a Yasuni muffler, MVT digital direct inner rotor ignition, and with a 1252 gearing, this bike does about 135 km/h on GPS. I usually don't think mopeds should have a high gearing like 1552 because it usually takes away a lot of acceleration, but on a bike like this, when the only fun thing is to go fast, I feel like you can't really go out in the woods and have fun. It's a go fast bike. It definitely fits to have a heavier gearing with a more powerful engine setup. So this is definitely a perfect setup for this bike and for the use of this bike. So, and another thing I also usually don't like about mopeds is the MVT S-Race exhaust, because it has a weird angle, so it's terrible fitment on a Supermoto. But on a sport bike like this one, it fits perfectly. It gives it that, you know, that straight exit, and it just looks so cool. With the Yasuni muffler on there, it's a really nice match. And to achieve the super clean look he has on this bike, he painted the plastics black and red, and then he got some GPR 50 and Derbi stickers to put on there to make it look a little bit more original and factory, but still giving it a little bit of a unique look, which he definitely did with this bike. It looks really cool. You can tell it's modified while it's still like, oh yeah, that's a nice clean factory bike, but it's still like, you know, he got his own touch on it. He got a powerful engine setup. It looks like a really fun bike to ride, and it looks really cool. So yeah, thank you so much for sending it in to the show. Now we have a Aprilia SX 50 from Finland. This bike has got a really nice glow up from the boring, worn down look it had in the beginning to the really clean look it has today. Some of the things that are done to this bike includes a 50cc sport cylinder, Voca Cross Chrome 5070 exhaust, 17.5mm carburetor, and he also has a few styling parts on the bike, including a timeless fat bar, KTM headlight, red spoke skins, homemade seat cover, Polysport Supermoto front fender, and a graphics kit to really put the cherry on top. This is a really clean bike. I really like how the polished wheels and chrome exhaust complements the black and red color scheme you got on this bike. Works really well together and definitely makes this bike into the beauty it is today. There's not really that much more to say about this bike. You did a great job with this bike. Thank you so much for sending it in to the show. Now we have a beautiful Rieju RR 50 build from the Netherlands. In the beginning this bike looked kinda boring and nothing special at all, so he completely rebuilt this bike from the ground up, putting his own touch on it to make it the beauty it is today. One of the biggest changes on this bike was the paint job, which was done by a professional painter. And I'm telling you, a paint job can seriously make or break your bike. It's like 80% of the looks of your bike is the paint job. I'm not telling you to get a crazy color, just make sure the paint job is good. Just take a look at this Rieju RR and also the Rieju RR in the beginning of this video. Both of them had crazy nice paint jobs. When you have a nice paint job, the bike looks so much better. It's worth to put your money into a nice paint job. Don't use cheap paint. I've tried to use cheap paint, but it never turns out good and usually doesn't last and stuff like that. So when you put your money into a nice paint job, it looks so much better and it's just so worth it. So if you're gonna put money into something on the exterior of your bike, paint job is definitely one of the best investments you can do because it looks so good. And some of the other things he did to this bike to achieve this look includes a smaller taillight, new seat cover, Supermoto front fender, cut the rear side plastics, and a number plate from an Orion 125cc pit bike that he put 2 LED lights in to give it a raw look while still having lights in the front. Overall, this is a beautiful bike. You did a fantastic job with the transformation, like taking the bike from that boring Rieju RR it was in the beginning to the beauty it is today. It barely looks like the same bike anymore, which means you did a great job with this bike. Thank you so much for sending this beauty into the show. Last but not least, we have a Suzuki RMX from Norway. First, he rebuilt this bike into a really clean version of this RMX that he rode for a while, but then he got bored of it and he wanted to spice it up a little bit more, so he turned it into a KTM Replica. But the plastics is not the only thing that this bike has that's not from factory. It also has a engine swap, and it's not the engine you might think it is. This bike has a AM6 engine swap, and you might be wondering why it has an AM6 engine swap. Well, the AM6 engine has a lot of parts available for it, and when you have a moped that maybe doesn't have a really common engine that there's a lot of parts available for, then the AM6 engine is a good option to take and put in the bike to have a lot more parts available to choose from. And you might be wondering, well, is this engine tuned or is it a stock AM6 engine? Well, this engine is tuned and it includes a Aersol T6 Maxima cylinder, Doppler ER1 crankshaft, MVT inner rotor ignition, top performance reed valve, 21mm Delorto carburetor, top performance Kevlar racing clutch, Metrokit underbody exhaust, and a Voca air filter. It's a really nice moped build. I really like the fact you got the KTM plastics on there. I think you can do some cool stuff with that. And you also got a pretty powerful engine setup. So I'm excited to see the finished product of this bike. Also, big shout out to the owner of this bike. He's always watching the videos, commenting on every single video. I appreciate that a lot, man. Like, you don't understand. Like, if you come there early, every single video, comment on the video, watch the videos. That means a lot, man. I appreciate it. So thank you so much for supporting the channel, and good luck with the build. I think you're gonna turn out amazing. But thank you so much for sending it in to the show. But that is gonna be the 5 amazing bikes from this week's bike show. And if you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, join the squad on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and let me know in the comment section down below which bike was your favorite. But that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. But until next time, remember, stay awesome, be positive. It's been SNT, and I'll see you in the next one.